Hello everyone, this is Samiling, your OLC, and welcome to the G course, Understanding the Self. So for our learning outcomes, as learners, of course, you are expected to first differentiate the concept of self according to Western thought against Eastern or Oriental perspectives. Second, explain the concept of self as found in Asian thoughts. So today we will be having the self when it comes to the Western and Eastern perspectives. Now let's first take Confucianism from Confucius. So this can be seen as a code of ethical conduct of how we should properly act according to our relationship with other people. Thus, it is also focused on having a harmonious social life. So in other words, when I say Confucianism, this is the individual's relationship with the rest. This is the individual's relationship with his or her society. That's why it says here, it focuses on the harmonious relationship with the individual with the others, or harmonious relationship of the people in a certain society, the harmonious social life that we have, how we interact with other people, how we interact within our society. So that is the concept of Confucianism. Now, how about Taoism? Taoism is living in the way of the Tao, or the universe. However, Taoism rejects having one definition of what the Tao is, and one can only state clues of what is they adopt a free-flowing, relative unitary as well as paradoxical view of almost everything. Now, in Taoism, the concept of this would be the individual's oneness, the individual's relatedness, connection when it comes to his or her surroundings with everything around him or her. Okay, that is the concept of Taoism. Now, how about Buddhism from Buddha? Now, the self is seen as an illusion born out of ignorance, of trying to hold, of trying to hold and control things or human-centered needs. So this focuses on the physical self, the physical body. Since it is the body, it is the physical self that we tend to satisfy when it comes to our desires, when it comes to our needs. That is why it says here that it can also be the source of all these sufferings. Since it is the body, the self, that we tend to satisfy, so no wonder that the body or the physical self can also be the one that would suffer from whatever things we do, from whatever action we do. And that is the concept of Buddhism. Now, the Western culture is what we would call an individualistic culture since the focus is on the person. Unlike in the Asian culture that it is collectivistic since we focus on the group or our relation, okay, our relationship with other people, the social relations. So that is the emphasis or the focus of the Asian culture rather than the individual needs and wants. So I do hope you see the difference here. The Western is more on the individualistic culture, but when you say Eastern or the Asian culture, it focuses on the collectivistic from the word collective, so as a group. From the word individualistic for Western, individual. So that's the difference between these two cultures or perspectives. By valuing the individual, Westerners may seem to have loose associations or even loyalty to their groups. Competition is the name of the game, and they are more likely straightforward and forceful when it comes to their communication as well as their decision making processes. So in the Western culture class, they have this loose loyalty to the groups, to the group where they belong. Why? Because they focus more on the individual, since they are individualistic in nature. And when it comes to their communication, they are straightforward. So rather than going around the bush, they would tell you things immediately. They are very frank, they are straightforward, they are forceful. So they wouldn't mind how you would feel about these words for as long as these are the words that they would like you to hear, or these are the words that they would like to say. Okay? And even in their decision making processes, they are very aggressive. Okay? So if they want to do this, they would just do it. Okay? That's how straightforward and forceful they are. That's how they communicate. Okay, that's how they decide over things. So that's the culture of the Western. Now, how about in Eastern? Now, when it comes to Eastern or Oriental culture, I should say, we usually look after the welfare of the group or the groups where we belong. We value cooperation since we are more on the collectivistic culture. And we would also be more compromising, and we tend to go around the bush in explaining things, hoping that the other person would feel what they want to say. So you see the difference. In the Western culture, they are straightforward, they are forceful, they are frank. But in the Eastern or Oriental culture, we are we go around the bush. Okay? We tend to sugarcoat our words rather than going straightforward or forceful. Why? Because we are concerned about the person's emotions or feelings. We mind, we care about this person. So we try to sugarcoat our words just to be just to be very careful when it comes on how we communicate and how we deal things with other people. Okay, so even in decision making, right, we are very careful on deciding things, on deciding which one, okay, am I going to do, or which one am I going to choose. Okay, so sorry, that's how different the Eastern with that of the Western culture. Now, the Westerns also emphasize more on the value of equality, even if they see that the individual can rise above everything else. Because everyone is on their own in the competition. One can say that they also promote that create ideals that create fair competition and protect the individual. So there's equality, fairness when it comes to the Western culture. How about in the Asian culture? Since we are collectivistic in nature, we put more importance on the hierarchy, the ranking, the positions, because we believe that this will keep the things in harmony and order. So I do hope you see the difference there. In the Western culture, everybody is equal. There's this fairness, there's equality. That's why they wouldn't mind about their ranking, the position, or hierarchy. Unlike in the Asian culture that we have high regard of the hierarchy, the positions, the ranking, we respect that because we believe that this will keep the harmonious relationship among people, among the members of the society. We believe that there will be order if we will follow them, if we will obey them. We will be abided by these rules and regulations that we have by the law. So that's the difference between the two perspectives or culture. So let's take this as an example. In the Western culture, they would most likely call their bosses, their parents, and even their seniors through the first name. And even the boss can be approached head on when it comes to the conflicts or problems they would experience. Unlike in Asian culture, that we have respect when it comes to our seniors, to our parents, to adults, to our bosses. And We won't just simply approach them. Why? Because we have high regard of them. And we will make it formal when it comes to how we approach them and how we communicate with these people. So that's how different the Western and the Asian culture is. Now, it must be emphasized, however, that these are general commonalities when it comes to the culture of the Western and the Asian. Now, how about in the case of the Philippines? Now, when it comes to our country is known to be united as a country, but divided also. Since when it comes to our cultures and perspectives, it varies, or we have different perspectives, we have different beliefs, we have different cultures. And I think there are two factors that we can consider here. Why is it that we are divided as a country, although we are united as one? So we have here the first factor that we can consider, which is the colonization experiences that we have. So remember during the earlier times that we were colonized by different nations. So we have the Japan, we have Spain, US, and even Britain, I guess, wherein they have influences when it comes to our country. So no wonder that we have different cultures, we have different perspectives, different beliefs. Not only that, even our geographical conditions can also be considered as another factor why we are divided, although we are united. Because the Philippines is divided into certain islands. We are separated from one another. We are separated by waters, which would really result into different cultures and perspectives, beliefs. We have Luzon, and we have here our own culture. Then we have Visayas. They have also their own culture. And even in Mindanao, they have also their own culture. So you see, this is what made Philippines a united nation but divided as well. Okay, that is why we can consider our country as collectivistic in nature and at the same time individualistic in culture. Now, let's take a look here at the summary of the two perspectives or cultures when it comes to philosophy and even when it comes to the perspectives about self. So, in Eastern, we have universal, since we are collectivistic, right? Then in Western, individual, since they are individualistic when it comes to culture. Then in Eastern, soul and intellect. So we focus more on the soul and intellect. But in Western, there's accumulation of knowledge. Then in Eastern, there's interrelatedness or oneness. But in Western, there's the separate parts from the whole. Yes, there's this whole society, but they also believe that they can be on their own. Then harmony and unified under Eastern, since we are collectivistic. Then in Western, there is this mastery and control of reality. Then in Eastern, adapt to external change, and in Western, apart from and within, since they are individualistic. So those are the two differences, okay, or those are the differences, I should say, of the two perspectives, the Western and the Eastern perspectives. Now, I have here a question that I would like you to ponder. Which Eastern quote strikes you the most and why? Again, which Eastern quote strikes you the most and why? Now, I will be presenting three quotes, three Eastern quotes, and I just want you to select one Eastern quote that you like best, or that you like the most, or that has an impact on you, or that strikes you the most and why. So the first quote we have, respect yourself and others will respect you. Again, respect yourself and others will respect you. So this is from Confucius. Second, knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Again, knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. And this is from Lao Tzu. How about from Buddha? Each morning we are born again. What we do today is what matters most. Again, each morning we are born again. What we do today is what matters most. And that is from Buddha. All right, so those are the Eastern quotes, okay, wherein you can ponder on. And I would like you to just simply select one Eastern quote that you like the most, or that has an impact on you, or that strikes you the most, and why. So later on, we'll discuss that. And for us to finally end our discussion, I have here a quote from Frederick Lenz. And it says here, I am Western and I see no need or reason to change that. The Western lifestyle has many things to offer, as do the Eastern methods of self discovery. I think blending the two is very desirable. So you see, there are many differences when it comes to the Western and the Eastern methods or perspectives, cultures, when it comes to the study of the self, to our identity. But it says here that why not? Just blend the two, since we've seen the goodness when it comes to the Western and with that of the Eastern perspectives. And we can just simply combine them or blend them together so that we can come up, okay, with a better perspective or with a better method of knowing our identity or ourselves. I do hope you learn many things from this lesson, the self in Western and Eastern perspectives.